Do you know about how Donald Trump saved lives in Sudan? I don't think this story is known well. I haven't seen it reported anywhere in the media. But as a missionary who has specialized in serving persecuted churches the last 43 years and who's conducted over 27 missions to Sudan, I'm the author of the book Faith Under Fire in Sudan, and I was very heavily involved in the work to bring South Sudan to independence. But I don't think most people know how President Donald Trump, in his first term in office, actually saved lives in Sudan by negotiating a ceasefire, a peace treaty. So the Nuba Mountains of Sudan is not in South Sudan, which won its independence in 2011. Nuba Mountains is in central Sudan, or central old Sudan. Now it's in the southern part of the northern Sudan, if you can understand that. So it's in the center of the large country of Sudan. The Nuba Mountains is an island of Christianity in the Sea of Islam. And it's been one of the worst, most inaccessible, difficult to reach mission fields in the world. And I've flown way behind enemy lines many a time to go into the Nuba Mountains and serve the persecuted church. And it was a rough area to work in, very difficult to reach. We would be struggling to get into the Nuba Mountains. We'd have to fly into no-fly zones, you fly, you die, areas where the Sudan Air Force would be enforcing a strict blockade. We'd have to go in illegally and behind the lines and walk throughout the Nuba Mountains amongst scorched earth, poisoned wells, burned out villages, hideous sights. People had been crucified, all kinds of atrocities we documented in the book Faith Under Fire in Sudan. I took in filmmakers like Pat Matriciano, who produced films like Sudan, the Hidden Holocaust, Terrorism and Persecution, in order to show how the beleaguered Christians in Nuba Mountains were suffering. I've got pictures in my book of the evangelists who've had their arms cut off or their feet cut off, and a man traveling now on his knees or riding a donkey without feet, preaching the gospel because the Arabs, under their Tamsit policy of combing, were scorched earthing everything. So a terrible place to work. Well, in 2017, we planned a very ambitious mission of trying to get in hundreds of thousands of Bibles, gospel booklets, Christian books, school books, and it was a major project, and we were praying and we were so desperate, and I was so nervous because part of this team would include my son-in-law, who was married to my favorite firstborn daughter, and they had a young child and another one on the way, and my wife was saying, "Why are you so concerned? You've done this many a time." I said, "Well, it's one thing for me to go, it's another thing for me to send in." There were so many of our missionaries who were young marrieds with young children, and I was super nervous about the 2017 missions being planned. Amazingly, our teams came into peaceful areas in Nuba Mountains for the first time, absolutely unprecedented. They'd been in over 50 years of war, hideous, scorched earth, brutal, savage warfare. And the team came in and were astounded to find a ceasefire. And when asking the people, how is this possible? There were schools gathered, planting schools. There was a window of opportunity which had never experienced in Nuba Mountains. I mean, this is a place where there was no technology, but now we were able to fly in and start to peacefully dig wells and build schools, churches. It was phenomenal. Even a hospital got started. So in this situation, the locals explained, well, President Donald Trump made a deal with the Sudan government saying, I know what you want. You want to be taken off the terrorist watch list. You want to have the sanctions lifted so you can aid and trade again. Well, I'll tell you what I want. Ceasefire. No more aggressive actions. No more scorched earth. No more bombing. Not in the Nuba Mountains of South Kordofan, not in the Blue Nile, not in Darfur. And so there was a total ceasefire. And he said, for 12 months, no aggressive actions. Then I'll lift the terrorist watch list off Sudan. I'll lift the sanctions, and you can go back to aid and trade. Well, when that happened at the end of 2017, that the United States lifted the sanctions on Sudan, there was a lot of criticism for Donald Trump. And I looked around and thought, but don't they realize? And no, the people did not realize the reason. The reason was that they had just fulfilled the requirements of Donald Trump. 12 months, no bombing, no aggressive actions. Darfur, Blue Nile, Nuba Mountains had been peaceful. Phenomenal. Now we suddenly had these wonderful opportunities, and we could do meetings in hundreds of schools, which wasn't possible before because the kids were hiding in the mountains to escape, hiding in caves to escape from the relentless bombing. We had been scorched earth. We had been bombed. We had experienced helicopter gunships strafing us. We had high-flying Antonov bombers destruction as far as I could see, walked amongst the scorched earth, past these poisoned wells where, we were desperate, we were thirsty, but we couldn't refill our water bottles there because of the scorched earth campaigns, what they called Tumsit. But now, the whole of 2017, 2018, 2019, our mission could do unprecedented work in the Nuba Mountains of Sudan. And then later in came Doctors for Life, literally able to make the blind see as they came in and worked with local hospitals, which had not even existed before. But in this ocean of, or I should say island of peace suddenly, where there'd been an ocean of warfare before, we suddenly had the opportunity to do work we could never have done before. And I don't think Donald Trump's gotten the credit for this, although there are people in Sudan who are grateful that they're now able to do normal things which are essential for life, like harvesting their crops and being able to build schools and build churches and gather in marketplaces. And all of this was not possible before. There are people who couldn't see because of cataracts, and our Doctors for Life came and did cataract surgery, and now those youngsters can see. And literally, we can see such a lot of blessings coming to what was once one of the worst places on earth, now becoming a place of decency and a place of peace where the people are not running and hiding in the caves. And every time you hear an aerial sound, people get nervous and start running. But now, if you heard a plane, the people ran to the airstrip because it meant there's some doctors coming in, there's medicines coming in, there's some aid and help. And the Norwegian People's Aid and Norwegian Church Aid are coming in, and they're digging wells and they're providing the people medicines and clinics and all kinds of programs. So I want to say, on behalf of the Christians in the Nuba Mountains of Sudan and the Christians in South Sudan who are benefiting, thank you very much, President Donald Trump, for what you did in order to bring peace to one of the most war-torn areas on earth. We praise God for a peacemaker president, one who's not bombing other countries, but one who's actually blessing other countries. And we praise God for a president who's not initiating wars, but bringing them to an end. And for someone who's worked 43 years as a missionary to restricted access areas in Africa, I've worked in 38 countries, including in 8 wars, experienced 3 revolutions. But Sudan has been one of the toughest mission fields I've come across. And the Nuba Mountains was the toughest of the tough mission fields of Sudan. And yet today it's a place of peace, even to this day. Praise God for the opportunities. Even now, 2025, we are seeing opportunities for medical work, educational work, Bible distribution, planting wells, ministering to people, and seeing these people at last harvest their crops, see the children raised in the faith. This was unthinkable just a few years ago. But since 2017, we've seen such a remarkable impact. Thank you for the art of the deal, which brought peace to a place where none of us, even the most optimistic, thought it was possible to bring an end to this hideous, decades-long genocidal warfare. Thank you, President Trump. May God bless you. May you be a blessing and a peacemaker to many other areas of conflict.